5 creepy horror stories that will make you check your closet.
1. The Infected Town. The town of Willowbrook had always been a picture of tranquility, a peaceful oasis nestled in the heart of the countryside. But that idyllic facade shattered one fateful day when a contagious madness descended upon us, turning our neighbors and friends into deranged killers. I was drawn into this nightmarish ordeal, and the memories of that time still haunt my every waking moment. It started with whispers, hushed conversations among townsfolk about the strange behavior of a few individuals. At first, it was dismissed as mere gossip, but soon the signs became impossible to ignore. People began to act erratically, their eyes filled with a wild, feverish intensity. The madness spread like wildfire, infecting one person after another. It was as if a dark force had taken hold of our town, turning our peaceful community into a nightmarish hellscape. I watched in horror as friends and neighbors, once known for their kindness and compassion, transformed into deranged killers. The contagion seemed to feed on fear and desperation, driving those infected to commit acts of unspeakable violence. The streets ran red with blood as the deranged inhabitants of Willowbrook turned on one another, their actions guided by a madness that defied reason. Desperation gripped me as I realized that I was trapped in a town consumed by madness. I barricaded myself in my home, the sounds of screams and violence echoing through the night. The once familiar streets had become a nightmare landscape, and I knew that I had to find a way to survive. As the days turned into weeks, I watched in horror as the town's infrastructure crumbled. Fires raged unchecked, buildings lay in ruins, and the stench of death hung heavy in the air. The contagion showed no mercy, sparing neither the young nor the old. I could feel the madness creeping closer, like a malevolent force seeking to devour my sanity. It whispered to me, filling my mind with nightmarish visions and cruel thoughts. I knew that I had to resist its insidious influence, to cling to my last dreads of sanity. The final confrontation came when I ventured out of my barricaded sanctuary, determined to uncover the source of the madness that had consumed our town. I stumbled upon a group of the infected, their eyes vacant and their faces smeared with blood. They advanced towards me with a menacing, predatory intent. With a sense of grim determination, I fought back, using whatever means I could to defend myself. The battle that ensued was a nightmarish struggle, as I faced my own friends and neighbors turned into deranged killers. In the end, I emerged victorious, the infected scattered and defeated, but the madness that had consumed our town would leave scars that would never truly heal. The once peaceful community of Willowbrook had been forever tainted by the contagion, a chilling reminder that even in the most serene of places, darkness and madness can lurk just beneath the surface, ready to consume us all. 2. The Ghost Ship. It was a fog-shrouded evening when our group of adventurers approached the abandoned cruise ship, known ominously as the Phantom Queen. The vessel had been afloat for years, drifting aimlessly in the ocean, its once gleaming white hull now tarnished by time and decay. Little did we know that our decision to board this forsaken ship would plunge us into a nightmarish voyage through the realms of the supernatural. The moment we stepped foot onto the rusted gangplank, a chilling sensation washed over me. A palpable aura of dread that seemed to emanate from the very timbers of the ship. It was as if the ship itself resented our intrusion, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were unwelcome guests in a place where we did not belong. As we ventured further into the ship's dimly lit corridors, the air grew heavy with the scent of salt and decay. The walls seemed to close in on us, their faded wallpaper peeling to reveal the ship's former opulence, now reduced to a haunting memory of better days. It wasn't long before we began to hear whispers, soft, ghostly voices that seemed to echo through the empty hallways. They spoke of betrayal and revenge, of lost souls seeking justice for the wrongs done to them. It was a chorus of torment that sent shivers down our spines. The ship's interior was a labyrinth of abandoned cabins, each one a potential haunt for vengeful spirits. We opened doors to find rooms frozen in time, as if their occupants had suddenly vanished, leaving behind a trail of half-finished meals and overturned chairs. As the night wore on, we encountered more than mere whispers and abandoned rooms. We saw apparitions, ethereal figures that moved silently through the corridors, their eyes filled with anguish and resentment. They seemed to be trapped in an eternal purgatory, their longing for vengeance palpable. We tried to retreat, to escape the haunted vessel, but the ship seemed to conspire against us, its layout shifting and changing as if it were a living, malevolent entity. The way back to the gangplank seemed to elude us, as if the ship itself were guiding us deeper into its nightmarish heart. The vengeful spirits grew bolder, their manifestations more terrifying as the night wore on. They reached out to us, their spectral hands touching our flesh with an icy grip, their voices echoing in our minds with promises of retribution. Desperation gripped our group as we realized that the vengeful spirits sought to make us pay for the sins of those who had wronged them in life. We were pawns in a nightmarish game of revenge, trapped on a ghost ship that sailed through the realms of the supernatural. In a final, desperate bid for survival, we confronted the leader of the vengeful spirits, a tormented soul who had been wronged in the most heinous of ways. The battle that ensued was a nightmarish struggle, as we fought to break free from the ship's malevolent grip and banish the vengeful spirits once and for all. With a sense of grim determination, we emerged victorious, the vengeful spirits banished and the ship's hold over us broken. The Phantom Queen drifted away into the fog, a specter of the past, leaving us to ponder the horrors we had witnessed. We left the haunted ship behind, forever scarred by the nightmarish voyage we had endured. The Phantom Queen would forever be a chilling reminder that some vessels are better left abandoned, and that the sins of the past can haunt the present in the most terrifying of ways. The camera's curse. My journey into the macabre world of the cursed camera began innocently enough, with a vintage find at an antique shop. The camera was a peculiar relic, its brass exterior tarnished by time, and its lens veiled in an eerie, almost supernatural glow. I was drawn to it as if some unseen force compelled me to possess it. I was a photographer by trade, always on the lookout for unique pieces to add to my collection. Little did I know that this camera would become my obsession, my descent into the darkest depths of the human soul. The first time I used the camera, I aimed it at a serene landscape, eager to capture its beauty. But when I developed the photograph, I was met with a horrifying sight. An image of the same landscape, but with the life drained from it. The trees twisted and withered, and the sky an ominous shade of crimson. I dismissed it as a trick of the light, but my curiosity was piqued. I began to experiment with the camera, aiming it at various subjects. A vase of flowers, a street scene, a bustling cafe. Each time, the resulting photographs were a grotesque parody of reality, with the subjects contorted and lifeless. It wasn't long before I realized the true nature of the camera's curse. It captured the final moments of its subjects' lives, freezing them in a nightmarish tableau of death and despair. I was both horrified and fascinated, unable to tear myself away from the camera's malevolent power. As I delved deeper into my obsession, I began to research the camera's history, uncovering a trail of death and tragedy that followed its path. It had passed through the hands of countless owners, leaving a trail of despair in its wake. The camera was a relic of darkness, a cursed object that brought death and suffering to all who possessed it. I couldn't resist the urge to capture more images with the cursed camera, to witness the final moments of its unwitting subjects. The photographs became increasingly gruesome, each one a testament to the camera's relentless hunger for death. My obsession consumed me, driving me to the brink of madness. I became detached from reality, unable to distinguish between the world of the camera and the world of the living. The lines between life and death blurred, and I found myself haunted by the grotesque images that filled my darkroom. The final confrontation came when I aimed the camera at myself, unable to resist the temptation to capture my own demise. The photograph, that emerged was a nightmare self-portrait, my own face contorted in a rictus of agony. But I was determined to break free from the camera's curse, to sever the connection that had consumed my life. With a sense of grim determination, I destroyed the cursed relic, shattering it into pieces. The camera's curse was broken, but the scars of my obsession would remain with me forever. I had delved too deep into the realm of the macabre, and the images I had captured would haunt my nightmares for years to come. A chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and that the pursuit of darkness can consume the soul in the most terrifying of ways. 4. The Harvest Moon Ritual. The cult of the Harvest Moon had always been a whispered legend in the secluded town of Thornwood. For generations, the cult had performed a horrifying ritual during the rare appearance of the Harvest Moon, an event that only occurred once every century. It was said that the ritual summoned an ancient evil, and I was drawn into this nightmarish ordeal, my curiosity overpowering my fear. As the night of the Harvest Moon drew near, the atmosphere in Thornwood grew increasingly tense. The townspeople spoke of the cult in hushed tones, their faces etched with fear and anticipation. I had always been a seeker of the unknown, a collector of strange and esoteric knowledge, and the legend of the Harvest Moon ritual called to me like a siren song. On the night of the ritual, I made my way to the secluded clearing deep in the woods, guided only by the eerie glow of the Harvest Moon. The cult members were shrouded in tattered robes, their faces obscured by masks that seemed to pulse with a sinister energy. The ritual itself was a nightmarish spectacle. The cult members chanted in a language that sent shivers down my spine, their voices rising in a haunting crescendo. They moved with a frenzied energy, their bodies contorting in unnatural ways as they danced around a grotesque altar. As the ritual reached its climax, a darkness seemed to descend upon the clearing, blotting out the moonlight. I felt a malevolent presence in the air, as if some ancient evil had been awakened from its slumber. It was then that I saw it, a monstrous, otherworldly entity that emerged from the shadows, its form a grotesque fusion of man and beast. Its eyes burned with a malevolent fire, and its presence filled the clearing with a suffocating dread. The cult members seemed to revel in the entity's arrival, their faces twisted with a mix of ecstasy and terror. They had offered themselves as vessels for its power, willingly sacrificing their humanity in exchange for the eldritch gifts it bestowed. I watched in horror as the entity's influence spread, its dark energy radiating outwards like a tidal wave of despair. I knew that I had to escape, to break free from the nightmarish spectacle unfolding before me. With a sense of grim determination, I fled the clearing, my heart pounding in my chest. The malevolent presence pursued me through the woods, its whispers echoing in my mind, tempting me to join the cult and embrace the darkness. I resisted its influence, fighting to maintain my sanity as I made my way back to Thornwood. The town would forever be scarred by the horrors of that night, a chilling reminder of the malevolent evil that could be unleashed by the cult of the Harvest Moon. I left Thornwood behind, forever haunted by the nightmarish ritual I had witnessed. The legend of the Harvest Moon ritual would continue to lurk in the shadows, a warning to those who dared to delve too deeply into the realms of the occult, and a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved. 5. The Cabin in the Woods. Our weekend getaway started with excitement and anticipation. My friends and I had been planning this trip for months, eager to escape the hustle and bustle of city life and find solace in the remote wilderness. Little did we know that our journey would lead us to a cabin in the woods that held a dark, supernatural secret. As we arrived at the cabin, nestled deep in the heart of the forest, a sense of isolation settled over us. The place was a rustic beauty, with time-worn wooden walls and a creaking front porch that spoke of years gone by. It was the perfect retreat, or so it seemed. The air was thick with the scent of pine and earth, and the only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the distant chirping of birds. It was as if we were the only souls for miles around, and the solitude was both eerie and exhilarating. The first night passed peacefully, with stories and laughter around a crackling fire. But as the moon rose higher in the sky, an unshakable feeling of unease settled upon us. It was as if the forest itself held its breath, waiting for something. On the second day, we decided to explore the surrounding woods, guided by the curiosity of adventurous souls. We stumbled upon a hidden trail that led us deeper into the forest, the trees growing denser and the shadows more foreboding with each step. It was then that we saw it, a clearing in the woods centered around a gnarled and ancient tree, its branches twisting like the fingers of some eldritch creature. At its base stood a stone altar, worn smooth by time. As we approached the altar, a sense of dread washed over us. Symbols were etched into the stone, symbols that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. It was a language unknown to us, a dark and arcane script that sent shivers down our spines. Curiosity overpowered our fear, and we began to investigate further, tracing the symbols with our fingers. It was then that we heard it, a soft, haunting melody that seemed to drift on the wind. It was a tune that stirred ancient memories, a melody that spoke of forgotten rituals and lost secrets. The melody grew louder, its notes echoing through the clearing, and a sense of foreboding settled upon us. It was as if the very air itself had come alive, humming with an unseen presence. In a final, desperate bid for answers, we decided to leave the clearing, to escape the haunting melody and the malevolent presence that seemed to lurk within the ancient tree. But as we retraced our steps, the forest closed in around us, the trees twisting and contorting to block our path. Panic gripped us as we realized that we were trapped, ensnared in a supernatural trap that we could not escape. The haunting melody grew louder, its notes filling our minds with a maddening despair. It was then that we saw them. Shadowy figures emerging from the trees, their forms indistinct and ghostly. They moved with an unnatural grace, their eyes burning with an otherworldly fire. As the figures closed in around us, we knew that our fate was sealed. We had stumbled upon a cabin in the woods that held a dark, supernatural secret, and now we would pay the price for our curiosity. In the end, we became a part of the forest, our souls forever bound to the ancient tree and the haunting melody that echoed through the woods. The cabin in the woods would forever stand as a chilling reminder that some secrets are best left undiscovered, and that the wilderness holds mysteries that can consume the unwary in the most terrifying of ways. Which story caught your attention the most? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, stay safe. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Check out my website in the description below to see what I'm writing. And just below there are some suggestions related to what we talked about today. Peace.